Hello, thanks for joining me. Is the distinction between asylum and migration meaningless? Sir Vince Cable certainly thinks so. This is an extract from his recent article in the Guardian newspaper. He says, the awkward truth, however, is that asylum versus migration is largely meaningless in practice. Of the millions fleeing Afghanistan, it hardly matters whether the primary reason for leaving is hunger and unemployment, or the attitude of the Taliban to women and criminal justice. For those caught up in the civil wars in Syria and Ethiopia, or the lawlessness of Somalia, northern Nigeria, or Congo, or being used as political pawns by warlords in Libya and the Belarus dictatorship, the political versus economic motivation is often a pedantic, legalistic distraction from a life or death struggle. Well, I don't agree with him. There's a clear distinction between those seeking political asylum and migrants. And by migrants, I'm talking about economic migrants. He says it hardly matters whether the primary reason for leaving is hunger and unemployment, or the attitude of the Taliban to women or criminal justice. Well, it does matter. There's a big difference between those escaping persecution, that is, asylum seekers, and those wanting to improve their lifestyles and living standards, or who do not like the government of their country. These are migrants. Lest we forget, we in the West had no problem with the Taliban government in Afghanistan after they vanquished the Soviets in the proxy war between the US and USSR. We only started having a problem after 9/11 when they didn't expel Al-Qaeda from their country as the US wanted. The coalition forces that the US led into Afghanistan were sent there to expel the terrorists. The UK has a long history of taking in those genuinely seeking asylum, and I accept that there were some asylum seekers among the more than 28,000 who reached our shores illegally in 2021, and the many hundreds that have come since. But in my view, they are a minority. The majority are economic migrants that have passed through multiple safe countries to get to the beaches of Dunkirk. Once there, they're in a safe country, France. I believe these people have no claim to asylum in the UK and should be returned to whence they came. Strange, isn't it, that so many of them are fit young men travelling alone? There aren't many families amongst them. And it's outrageous that 66% of those who claimed to be children are in fact adults. We should give priority to the unemployed, the homeless, and the hungry of this country, many of whom, reliant on food banks and charity, are facing their own life or death struggle, not to illegal economic migrants, each of whom has the £4,000 to £6,000 for a seat on a boat. The sad reality is that the opposite is true, and that's a national disgrace. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below.